I'm McKinney Smith. After going through a divorce, my sister passing away, experiencing narcissistic abuse, and some significant health scares, I realized through sharing my story that I wasn't alone in my suffering. Suffering, subjective distress generated by the experience of being out of balance. In a deep dive to holistically heal mind, body, and soul is where I discovered peace, clarity, and connection. It is impossible to be truly wise without some real life hardship, and we cannot develop post-traumatic wisdom without making it through, and most importantly, through it together. Social connection builds resilience, and resilience helps create post-traumatic wisdom, and that wisdom leads to hope. Hope for you and others witnessing and participating in your healing, and hope for your community. A healthy community is a healing community, and a healing community is full of hope because it has seen its own people weather, survive, and thrive. Have you ever faced struggles that made you question your strength? In A Walk in My Stilettos, How to Get Through the Struggle with Grace, I share my personal journey through adversity, teen motherhood, divorce, and loss, showing you how to navigate life's toughest seasons with grace. This book isn't just my story, it's your roadmap to resilience. So grab your copy today and start walking in your own power. It's available on Amazon. It's available on McKinneySmith.com or any other major online bookstore. Today's guest is Marlie Cohen. She's a dedicated mother of two, certified pre- and postnatal fitness trainer, and the founder of Bounce Forward Co., an at-home workout app designed to help busy moms prioritize their health. Through her platform, she offers an on-demand workout, group coaching, and supportive community, encouraging women to embrace the changes that come with motherhood while staying active and strong. Beyond fitness, Marlie is a content creator and wellness advocate, sharing her day-to-day life, parenting journey, and wellness tips with a growing global community. Her authentic approach has led to partnerships with major brands like Amazon, Google, and Dyson, further solidifying her impact to the health and lifestyle space. Through her work, Marlie continues to inspire women to move forward, prioritize self-care, and to find balance in motherhood and beyond. So please welcome to the show, Marlie Cohen.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for agreeing to come on and share your story and your expertise with us. I truly, truly appreciate you.
Thank you for having me. I'm so honored.
I love, getting to know people on a deeper level. Sometimes you see people on social media and, you see the highlight reel or you see, their business or all those things. But part of what I love about the podcast is getting to know people on a deeper level, getting to know people behind the scenes, getting to really understand your why, your passion, and helping other people to see that no matter where you are in life, no matter how successful someone may feel that someone else is, that we're all human. We all have human experiences. We have adversities that we go through. We all have our healing journey that we are on. So I'm excited to dive in and to learn more about yours.
Let's do it.
Okay, so I like to start with an icebreaker question. And as kids, we have these vivid imaginations of who or what we want to be when we grow up. And society or culture or sometimes our family starts to limit our beliefs and tell us to be more realistic. So I would love to know who or what you wanted to be when you were a little girl.
Oh my God. I wanted to be a Spice Girl.
I love it.
Or a pop star or something, some performer. But the problem was there was a real lack of talent on all fronts. So that was never going to happen. But if you could succeed or be really famous just on passion alone and interest, then I probably could have been a Spice Girl. But that's about it.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so I guess share with us your journey of how you got to where you are today. Give us the Coles Notes version.
Yeah. Okay. So today I have a health and fitness app for busy moms called Bounce Forward. But if you were to tell me even probably 10 years ago that I was doing anything in fitness, I would have been, what are you talking about? Because I was not an athletic person growing up. I was, picked last for gym class. I hated gym class, but I danced. And again, like back to the performing and talent, I wasn't very good. I just really liked it. And I could like pick up choreography here and there, but I wasn't actually good. I'll look back and God bless my parents. They were so supportive, for going along with it because I was pretty terrible. But I really loved it. And that was sort of the extent of my athleticism. I was never a runner. I played zero sports, never set foot in a gym. I just, danced recreationally for many, many years. So when I found myself in my early 20s in an office job where I really sat all day, that was sort of the extent of like how much my body was moving on my commute to work and sitting in an office. And I couldn't even walk up the stairs without being out of breath. And the only time I would take the stairs if there was an emergency, right? Like if the elevator wasn't working. So there was no fitness in my life whatsoever. So to be telling you that I have a fitness app here today, still even kind of telling you now feels really funny and strange because there is such a disconnect to even my like younger adult life. And I'm in my late 30s now. So I guess that's how I found health and fitness was by being in a corporate job, sitting at my desk all day or sitting in a car. I worked in real estate. So I was either driving to showings or on commutes to showings or sitting at a desk. And I found fitness through some light Googling of like how to get in shape because I'm feeling like crap. Like I'm out for dinner every night. I'm drinking. I'm putting on weight. I'm feeling not how a vibrant young 20-year-old should feel. And I ended up joining the gym in my office building at work. And group fitness completely changed my life. I absolutely fell in love with it. And I think it's honestly because that's where that performance piece kind of came into play. I was doing fitness to music and to the beat in front of people or with people. And I think it really brought me back to that childhood passion.
I love it. I love it. So when you said that, like, sitting at your desk, like, or, walking up the stairs, all of that, like, I think about now for myself, for example, like understanding that, healthy motion equals healthy emotion. And when we're not moving and we're not, physically active, what that does to us mentally, emotionally, physically. And I also came from the real estate career. I was selling real estate full time for like 6 years before I got into personal development. So I understand, the complete difference in mindset. I guess, okay, so you realized that you weren't as active as you would have liked to be for your young age.
Yeah.
And you started working out. But what inspired you to even, become a trainer?
Okay. Yeah. So that was when I realized I actually found a passion, even though to me, I was like, am I even allowed to think of this as a passion? I'm not athletic. I didn't grow up playing sports. I think you hear most personal trainers and their stories of they were really, they were athletes growing up. And for me, that wasn't that piece there. This was brand new to me altogether. But I just knew that my favorite moments of my day were the 5 a.m. class I was taking or the 7 p.m. class I was taking after work. And I was pretty much miserable the rest of the day. Those were the only things that were lighting me up and bringing me joy. So I was really like, how do I do this in a career, even though it felt completely impossible? And this was at a point where social media was just up and coming. I was like from the Facebook generation, right? I didn't even have an iPhone for a long time. And when I got Instagram, it was on my iPod. So not to age myself anymore, but so I started all these blogs about sort of my fitness journey, like the classes I'm taking and maybe giving some reviews, and I would delete them. So I'm like, this is embarrassing. If God forbid anyone found out about this, how humiliating. So I started a Tumblr, a blog. I would post, delete, post, delete. And then one day I was like, let me try this Instagram thing. Maybe there's something here. And I didn't show my face and I had a completely different account. My account today is called Kale and Crunches, but it was called Nikes by Night. And I think he was still my boyfriend at the time, my husband, but I think we were just dating at the time. I told him about it and he's like, I love your account. I love your enthusiasm, but you really shouldn't use Nike in your name because, what if one day this actually becomes something? And he was the beautiful person that had foresight and could see and manifest what this was going to become well before I could. But I was just posting simple, this is my workout. This is my oatmeal bowl. Here are my feet. Here's my treadmill. Like, you did not know it was me. I was like, this is embarrassing. I cannot tell anyone. And the idea was it was like corporate by day, fitness by night. And it felt like I was pursuing this like alter ego. And it was it wasn't even a side hustle. It was just a side passion project at the time. And it started to garner followers and attention. And the more I shared my face and my story and myself, and then stories came to be, which was new and exciting. I could go on stories and talk about it. It started to gain traction and following. And so basically for 2 years while I was working in real estate, I was posting on this account that was gaining followers, gaining attention, and then gaining brand deals. And I thought, maybe there's something here. So I gave myself a year. I said, I'm going to get certified. I'm going to teach. I'm going to build up a clientele, and I'm going to do this in a year from now. And I gave myself that year to get all my ducks in a row, get my certifications. I would teach spin before class, after class, see some personal trainers on the side. Sorry, before work, after work, see some clients on the side. And then within that year, I built up the confidence and what felt like enough financial stability to say, like, let's just dive all in and see where this goes. And that was almost 10 years ago.
Wow. Well, congrats to you.
Thank you.
I mean, there's a couple of things that you said there that I loved because I know, a lot of the listeners, they heavily relate to hearing parts of the guest or myself that they feel like if you're someone who is successful or doing well, that you wouldn't normally have. So I'm an introvert. So when, people think about starting Instagram accounts and going viral and doing all the things, they're like, oh, I don't want to show my face. I don't want to tell my story. But you started growing without even having to show your face and all that. So I love hearing that. And I think that, the listeners, they can definitely take away from that where you can still, I guess, have some sense of privacy and still be able to do what you want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I think now there's a lot more interest in the faceless accounts, they're calling it. Or even for me, I mean, we'll get there, but I transitioned a lot of my content into the motherhood piece when I had my children. And then over the last 2 years, I actually stopped showing them. So I sort of brought back that and reeled in a little bit more privacy once they no longer looked like infants and you could actually become recognizable. I started to pull back from there. So it's never, you can always start without showing your face. You can decide and you can control how much you want to give and how much you want to pull back. It's always in control.
I love that. Okay, so let's talk about motherhood. How has becoming a mother, I guess, shaped your approach to fitness and wellness?
Well, I love what you said earlier about the motion is also the mental health piece, because that's a really big part of like pregnancy and fitness and how those two work together is that a lot of it is out of your control. You could be put on bed rest. It could be not safe for you to exercise. And exercise also becomes this thing that isn't necessarily only about you anymore. And when I became pregnant, that was the first time where I really felt like fitness wasn't necessarily about my body image anymore or about an aesthetic. It was really for the first time about that health piece. And as much as I loved like the music and the passion and the teaching and the performing, it was also really exciting to see physical changes and for people to be interested in those and your body image be, a big part of the Instagram part. I mean, it is what it is, right? So that was the first time in my life where my body, exercising wasn't about my physical health as it was as much as my mental health. And then postpartum was really when I had to make that connection because I fell into a very deep depression and anxiety with my first child postpartum. And that was just a whole other layer to being online and being in fitness.
Okay, so let's dive into that because I have 3 children. I have a grandchild and another grandchild on the way. So having experienced different levels of postpartum after each of the kids and watching my daughter go through that, with her daughter, share with us how your postpartum experience, I guess, was different for each of your children, if it was.
It was. And my first postpartum experience completely changed my life because I think for many women and many parents, the first time in their life where they can't just like study and learn to be good at something is when you have a baby, right? You can't just read a book or hire someone or take a course and your baby will sleep the night, right? Like it just doesn't work that way. So everything is sort of out of your control. And it's a real lesson in giving up control. And when I brought my daughter home from the hospital, I felt really prepared because I was an aunt and I had friends with kids and I felt like I did all the homework. And I was like, I got this. And I absolutely did not have it. And I brought home healthy baby with so much support, so much privilege and more than anyone could ask for. And I went into an instant panic attack that first night that I was home
Oh,
because
wow.
I had intrusive thoughts that were terrifying that I had never knew was a thing. I thought that something was wrong with me. I completely spiraled so fast. And basically for about the first 2 months, I was in like this dark hole of terror and fear. I'm scared to leave my house, scared to do anything, always just constant fear and anxiety. And it changed my life because at the time I was also online.
Mm.
Like,
Mhm.
and this was the days of the perfect Pinterest curated feeds. And there was nothing perfect or curated in my life. Everything just was like gray and dark and scary. And I decided that I was either going to just shut down Instagram, shut down my business, or I was going to show up as authentically as possible and share what I was actually going on with my life because I could not lie and I could not pretend. And I chose the latter and I chose to show up. And it sort of just opened up this whole other new piece to my account, my business, my community of
Mhm.
women who were just wanted the real and I wanted the real. And the more I shared, the more I felt validated in what I was going through. I felt
Yes.
less alone. And I have really just, my content has been that way with that realness piece ever since because it's impossible to function there. Who has time to make anything anyway? But
Yeah.
really, that is the underlying theme of all of my content, whether it's fitness or motherhood, is about like our values are different, our life is different, everything is different, and we need support. And we work in seasons, and our life is always going to be in seasons. And I really just try and like post from there and share from there.
I love that you've even shared that part of your story for so many reasons. Like, I strongly believe in authenticity, and I feel like, so I I guess when I started in social media, probably around the same time as you when everything had to be perfect,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that not only did it hurt a lot of people in many different ways, mentally, emotionally, financially, but I feel like it it forced people to put on these masks, and it was almost like they had to play with, like, multiple personalities, right? So, I strongly believe in authenticity and people being able to be themselves on and offline, being the same person. I feel like the more that we are our authentic selves, the more that we attract people that are like us and repel those that are not.
Yes.
And in you being authentic about your experiences and your journey, not only were you helping other women who probably felt shame and guilt and that they had no voice, that social proofing, it helped them also feel validated. We build communities sometimes in our struggles when we share what we're
Mm-hmm.
experiencing and how we're going through it. And sometimes, you know, I know my mother and grandmother didn't speak about certain things. We're now living in an age where, yeah, we have access to a lot more information, but there were a lot of things that weren't spoken about. So you think something is wrong with you when you're experiencing certain things. So I think there's a huge beauty in what you did with sharing the authenticity of your postpartum experience, because I'm sure that saved many lives, including your own.
Yes. So it did. And it's funny you said that because I remember going through it and the things I would share. And my mom, I love her and she's so amazing and she's so supportive. But social media is new and different for that generation. She's like, do you have to share everything? Like, come on,
Mm.
And like, actually, yes, I do. This is life or death.
Yes. Like, okay, so, you talked about experiencing, the fear and the anxiety and
Mhm.
the intrusive thoughts. Were there any other, I guess, big surprises or struggles that you faced during your postpartum journey?
Absolutely. I mean, especially coming from the fitness world, And being an 80s baby, like all I knew about postpartum culture was bounce back culture. Like, how
Mm.
fast did this celebrity leave the hospital and zip up their jeans? And I had no idea I was going to look pregnant for months after. I had no idea that was the thing. I didn't recognize my body. I was like, how am I supposed to show up online as a trainer? And, I have new stretch marks and loose skin and cellulite. Like, I looked completely different. So
Mm-hmm.
there was that whole piece that I had to reconcile. And that's essentially where my app was born, Bounce Forward, because I was like, screw the bounce back.
Mm.
Not only am I not going back in time into my old jeans, but my values are different. Everything is different in my life. I don't have the same amount of time. I don't have the same amount of interests. I'm a different person. And I had to just lean into the fact that motherhood changed me for good instead of just resist it.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I love all of it, especially because I feel like culture has a tendency to have these quote unquote norms that are harmful for
Yeah.
us, whether it be, cultural norms, whether it be, you know, religious norms, all these things that are considered normal that are actually harmful. And I know when I had my first daughter, I was young, very young. So I'm going to say the bounce back and the pressure of bounce back was very real.
Right.
But I love seeing now the culture of embracing what
Hmm.
a woman's body looks like in its real raw form without being edited, without, shapewear, without all of the additional extra things that I'm going to say the culture and patriarchy and all these things make us feel like we have to do.
Hmm. There was
Yeah.
one reel I posted a couple of years ago where I just pulled down my high-waisted pants and just shared like what my stomach still looks like as someone who technically has lost all the baby weight, but my
Hmm.
body is no longer the same. You can't go back in time. I can't change
Hmm.
what my skin did. And, I don't love to post content like that just because I'm try and make my approach to health and fitness just less about the body and what it looks like. But of
Hmm.
course, a piece of content like that is what is going to go the most viral. But someone actually stopped me on the streets near after a school drop off that year and was like, you made me feel so seen. And to me, I'm
Hmm.
looking at her and I'm like, she's like this tiny little human, way shorter than me. And she looks like, I would never assume that her tummy looked like that. And she's like,
Hmm.
you made me feel so seen. And I
Hmm.
just really appreciated that because under those high-waisted leggings, let me tell you.
I get it. I get it. So, okay, there are many new moms that are struggling with energy and motivation. What advice would you give to those who want to prioritize movement but feel exhausted?
I would say that you need to first and foremost respect the season of life that you're in. So, for example, if you're seeing me on Instagram and I'm waking up at 5 in the morning and I'm getting a workout in before my kids, I normally will post it with a disclaimer being like, my kids slept last night, disclaimer. So just even giving yourself that radical acceptance of my workout is going to look very different than it used to pre-kids. It might be 5 minutes. It might be 10 minutes. I'm probably not going to sweat. I'm probably going to be still in my pajamas from the day, but that doesn't mean it doesn't count. And I think the best thing you can do is give yourself permission to have it look different and still count. And just little by little, it all adds up.
Mm. I love that. I love that. How did you balance the emotional ups and downs of your postpartum recovery while still running your business?
Oh my gosh. I balanced it by just, like we talked about, showing up authentically and talking about it and
Mhm.
writing about it. I did a lot of blog posts back then when blogging was still a thing. It was very cathartic. And then I just tried to always give context to what I was doing. If I was going to a workout class, I would let my following know, like, who's watching the baby. It was little things like that that always kind of made me as a consumer, a viewer, be anxious, like, oh, where's the baby? How are you doing this? Just as a first time mom to
Mhm.
understand how someone's actually doing anything. I felt like if I gave the bigger picture of what anything looked like, whether it was like a nanny or an in-law or someone looking after, that made me feel like I could share more because it just felt, again, authentic, not to overuse that word, but it felt like it was almost helpful to sort of explain like how are you going back to work when you don't get a mat leave? How are you actually doing anything? Just instead of just one photo or a 15-second video, I always would just sort of add extra context.
Yeah.
And
I
there's
love
always more like nuance and layers to everything.
Absolutely. Life is full of layers. I
Mhm.
actually just posted something about that on social, but anyway. Okay, so was there a specific moment in your postpartum journey that I guess changed your perspective on motherhood and self-care?
A specific moment. Yeah, actually there was. I remember my mother-in-law came to watch my baby, and I just had one, and then the second one was COVID, so there was none of this, and I went to a spin class. And I remember being in that spin class and just crying. It was like the dark lights, the music was playing, I was on that bike, and all the emotions started coming, and I think it was really layered. It was like, wow, look where we are, because definitely never thought I'd be sitting on a spin bike again after pushing a baby out. Like, there was, I couldn't even sit. Then there was the whole, wow, like you left your kid alone, you're taking care of yourself, you're putting yourself first. Then there was the whole like, you only have 45 minutes because you got to get home and nurse, and like, you better make this count. So it was all these little layers of, wow, my time is so different. I have to be so much more efficient. This workout isn't just for me. It's about so many more things. It's about that you permission to put yourself first, about getting your strength back so you have the energy to care for your kid. There was yeah, I think that moment really stands out to me.
Love it. I feel like when we talk about success, or I guess what accolades are important to us, I think for every individual person, there's a different definition, right? Success to me could mean something different than it means to you. So how has your definition of success evolved since becoming a mom?
My definition of success is about freedom now. It's about freedom and flexibility. And what drives me the most to work hard and to just keep showing up, and just the ups and downs of entrepreneurship, is to be able to be at my kids' dance-a-thon that's happening this Thursday,
Mhm.
or host them a Valentine's Day party on their PD day. Like, it's moments that having a flexible schedule to be there for them, that is 100% my driving force.
Love it. Love it.
Mhm.
Okay, if you could go back and give your younger self one piece of advice, like before starting this journey, what would it be?
Don't delete that first blog. Just go for it. I started early, but I could have started years earlier. And just, yeah, I would say, oh my gosh. 'Cause, I think about listen, there's enough space for everyone in this world. But sometimes you think like, oh, if you just kept going, those first few posts and things like that.
I love it. Okay, if you could describe your last 5 years in one sentence, what would it be?
In one sentence, my last 5 years, I'll tell you, honestly, the first thing that came to mind is sleepless nights. Like, I feel like I haven't slept in 5 years. I have horrible sleepers. My kids are older now, they're 3 and 5, but they're like, I mean, older, but not babies anymore, but they're
Yeah.
I guess that's not really the answer you're looking for, but that's the first thing that came to my
No,
head.
that's honest. That's completely honest. Okay, so if there's a mom out there
Yeah.
who can completely relate to the
Yeah.
sleepless nights
Yes.
and feels like she has no time for self-care,
Mhm.
where would you advise that they start?
10 minutes. Just give yourself 10 minutes. I really, truly believe everyone can find 10 minutes.
Mhm.
Make it work, whether it means putting your kid in front of a TV or a screen for 10 minutes, whether it means asking someone for help. Most likely, if you're watching or listening to this, you probably do have those 10 minutes in your day.
Mhm.
And I do say that as someone, with, a busy life, a busy schedule. I know what it's like to feel like 10 minutes is impossible, but then sometimes I'll be like, oh, I was just scrolling for 10. Be really open and honest with how you're using your time. If you can start there and then build up, and you don't have to change, and you don't need to take 10 minutes, doesn't need to be part of choosing the workout or changing into an outfit or anything. Like, in what you're wearing right now, can you do some squats? Can you hold a plank? Can you do some push-ups on the back of your couch?
Mhm. That's good. That's good. What is, I guess, one fitness myth that you wish more postpartum moms would stop believing?
Oh, this is such a good question. That they can't lift heavy ever again. Because if you have more than one kid, you'll know that your kid is not going to get any lighter. You're probably going to be picking them up again. And listen, I'm all about proper recovery, 100%. Rest, rebuild that core strength, do all the inner work, the pelvic floor work that you need to do 100%, but you will be able to lift again. You'll get stronger again, and your body is not ruined. It's not broken. You just need a little bit of rehab, a little bit of TLC down there, a little rest and recovery, and you can get even stronger from where before you started.
I love it. Okay, what kind of legacy do you hope to leave for your children and the women in your community?
Oh my God, that question makes me emotional. Just, I hope to leave with them a community of women who appreciate their bodies and their life for them, and that leaving a legacy of women who choose to prioritize themselves and put themselves first. There's so much shame and guilt around working out as a parent, taking time for yourself. I still struggle with that. I still will, if we're on a family vacation and I want to go to the gym and my husband's with the two kids, we'll have a whole dialogue in my head about, well, I'll take them the rest of the afternoon. So then it's fair. And then I'll do this. So then it's fair. And we need to just get rid of that guilt and just know that we're allowed to prioritize ourselves. We're allowed to show up for ourselves, to give ourselves some self-care. And I hope that as I share and more women continue to share this, they won't feel that same guilt and burden when they become moms.
That is great advice. I'm thinking now and I'm like, I wish I had that advice when I was younger. I remember when my kids were younger, and I guess two were still in elementary school and one was just in high school. And I had become a single mom, and the biggest guilt I had was in prioritizing self-care. And it took me years to get comfortable. And that, I even talked about it in my first book, but it was like the years that it took for me to get to that space of not feeling guilty for doing something other than stuff for the kids. Like I couldn't relax sitting and getting my nails done. It would make me anxious because it'd be like, well, I could be, making a lunch for them or prepping dinner or all of the things. So I think that's great advice.
Do you find that yours is gone? Like I still feel those feelings and thoughts. Like it's still a work in progress for me.
I think, well, my kids are grown now. My eldest is 27 and my youngest is turning 19 next week.
Yeah.
So the guilt is gone.
Yeah. So it goes away.
The guilt is gone. But there are still those moments now where I'm like, if I'm doing something, I'm like, oh, I could be spending this time with my granddaughter. So it shifts, I guess.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's hard. I know I try and teach it and I preach it, but I still definitely struggle with it every day where I'm like, oh, I could be doing this or I could be more, it's so hard. But I really hope that by showing them that we're doing it, I always like, mommy's going to exercise and it makes mommy feel so good. It gives mommy so much energy. She feels so much better that they're going to grow up and not have that same level of guilt.
Yes, I love it. I love it. Okay, well, what would you say is your superpower?
I'd like to think it's multitasking, but it's definitely not. I feel like I'm a horrible multitasker, even though I do it because I'm a woman and that's what we do. I think my superpower is, at least as a coach, making women feel like they do deserve more and to empower them to, really try to put themselves first and to take their self-care to the next level.
What is your aside from working out, like what does your self-care routine look like?
Oh, it's really nothing. It's a walk. I'm like a personal development junkie. So I love a podcast while I'm cooking or meal prepping, or a really hot shower at the end of the night. Once the kids are sleeping, I'll like burn my skin with a shower. I don't really have, do a ton of fancy things or time for that yet, but I will get that time back soon.
Okay. So what inspires you the most about what you do?
Say my community of moms that are inside my membership and just hearing their personal stories and their messages. And then, my kids will say something here and there about this morning. My little one was like, Daddy, let's exercise. Like little moments with the
Yeah.
kids for sure. Yeah.
Love it. Love it. Okay, so before we go to the final segment of the
Yeah.
show, I would love if you can tell the listeners where they can stay connected with you, where they can learn more from you and about you, where they can download the app.
Sure. Okay. So as you heard, the name now is Kale and Crunches on Instagram. So everything is there. Our membership is bounceforwardco.com or at bounceforwardco on Instagram. It's an on-demand of really short at-home workouts for busy women. We have programs for core rehab, anything from core rehab to, 30-minute strength. So you don't need to be a mom to be a member. It's really just for anyone who needs a quick, efficient at-home workouts.
Love it. Love it. I will have all of the links for them to connect with you in the details section so they don't have to search too far. For the final segment of the show, it's kind of like a rapid fire. You can answer one word, you can answer one sentence, but I don't like to be put into a box. I'm claustrophobic. So if you feel the need to expand, you're more than welcome to do so.
Okay, I'll do my best.
Okay. Name a book that has changed or greatly impacted your life.
Principles of Success by Jack Canfield. I think it's just called The Principles of Success. Yeah.
Okay. Name one of the most worthwhile investments that you've ever made. And that could be of money, time, energy.
Right now, my walking pad.
Okay. Um, what new belief, behavior, or habit has improved your life in the last 5 years?
Or habit. This is a really good question. Belief, behavior, or habit has improved my life in the last 5 years. Oh my gosh. No. Let's think of something. I don't know if this sort of like a mantra or a mantra, however you say it. I don't know if it fits into any of those categories, but I just keep telling myself, like, just keep putting the reps in, keep putting the reps in, like day by day, just one day at a time. It's sort of, I guess, one day at a time is this belief, because especially in the thick of motherhood or all the different seasons, in your life, it's just constantly changing. And I find if I just look too far ahead or get too focused on the future, then I get overwhelmed and feel like there's no point in anything.
Yes.
So one day at a time and sort of just trying to stay in my own lane and think that way has been helpful.
Yes, I love it. I love that because we don't realize how, like, when we are so hyper focused too far ahead or on the future, that creates anxiety, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
it's about staying in the present. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you feel overwhelmed, unfocused, or uninspired, what do you typically do?
Outdoor walk, always. Although
Love
I'm
it.
in Toronto right now and it's minus a million. And it's so cold. So maybe I'll go on my walking pad, but a good walk.
Okay. How has motherhood changed you?
It has shown me the bigger picture in life and made me realize it's not just about me and it's not just about my children, but it is legacy, community, and just the power of women.
Love it. Love it. Okay. What has been the greatest gift that you've ever given yourself?
The chance to leave my job and start my business and pursue that career.
Love it. Betting on yourself. Love it.
Yes, betting on myself.
All right. When and where are you the happiest?
Oh, somewhere warmer than right now, but with my family anywhere. Bedtime, not actually bedtime. I would say the mornings. Bedtime is stressful right now. And I am not my happiest at bedtime. Mornings, like in the mornings when the girls come in the bed and it's like just our family and we're loving and all like snuggly and fun, those little moments like that. It's so cliche, but it's true. I'm one of those annoying people. But preferably like on vacation in Mexico where it's warm and not in this polar vortex we're living in. With a palm tree.
I feel you.
Family with a palm tree.
Listen, I totally understand. Okay. Last but not least, what do you wish women would do more of?
Put themselves first.
And on that note, wow, thank you so much, Marlie. Thank you for sharing your story and your expertise with us. I do not take your time lightly. I know that there are a lot of women that are listening that are new moms that have, or even old moms, that needed to hear what you shared today, and it helped them feel more seen, heard, and understood. So thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
That's a wrap for today's episode. If you are looking for inspiration on overcoming challenges with grace, check out A Walk in My Stilettos, How to Get Through the Struggle with Grace, authored by me. My personal journey is your roadmap to resilience. You can find the book available on most major book retailers, Amazon, and McKinney-Smith.com. To all of my healers out there, thank you for tuning in. Because of you, we continue to rank globally in the top 1.5% of podcasts out there, and there are over 3 million. So if today's episode resonated with you, please subscribe, rate the show, and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. Let us know about any takeaways you received from Marlie, any aha moments, any gems that she left you with. Now, I want you to think of one person who could benefit from today's episode. Share this with them. Someone out there needs Marlie's testimony. Screenshot this episode and you can tag us on Instagram. You can tag Marlie at Kale_and_crunches. That's KALE_KRUNCHES. And you can tag myself at The Real McKinney Smith, and let's keep this conversation going. A healthy community is a healing community, and a healing community is full of hope. So let's continue to heal her.